That radio chick Cheryl Lee here. Welcome to the Still Rocking It podcast, where we'll have music, news reviews and interviews with some of our favourite Australian musicians and artists. Today we are speaking in the Zoom room with Chloe Marks from Chloe Marks and the Mayhem as they close out the year with their bold new single, Cheaper Than Therapy. She's a mum of two. She's an extreme sports enthusiast. And with a new level of confidence and creativity, Chloe Marks and the Mayhem, with their signature blend of authenticity and modern edge, are country music stars on the rise. Watch this space. To catch up on podcasts from other favourite artists, simply go to thatradiochick.com.au. You're with Cheryl Lee, that radio chick, and I'd like to welcome into the Zoom room today, Chloe Marks. Hi, Chloe. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So we've got a brand new single to talk about, but I was wondering if we could perhaps go back a little bit before we go forward.
Yeah, sounds good.
Born and raised in a little town called Innisfail in far north Queensland, involved in music from a very young age, so picking up the drums at age 5. What on earth made you pick up the drums at such a young age?
My parents are both musicians and they were doing it a lot at the time. And my dad was actually a sound tech and he just happened to be setting up a stage and he just needed me to make a bit of noise. He needed to set some levels and said, go and hit the drums. And I remember just falling in love with it instantly. And after that, they couldn't get me off the drums. And yeah, that just kind of kicked everything off for me.
I was going to ask you, is music in your DNA? Are your family musical? Clearly they are. Are they still involved in the music industry?
Not so much anymore, but they definitely, the love for it is still there. And every time I'm around my parents, my dad will pick up a guitar or, something similar. So it's still definitely around. But yeah, I ran with it a lot harder than they did.
Have you got any siblings, Chloe? And if so, are they musical as well?
I do. I have a few siblings. They're all actually naturally really good singers. But yeah, my brother is quite good. He's one of those people that just picks up instruments and he's instantly good at it. But again, it's always been sort of more of something they've done on the side. I've really only been the only one that's just, ran with it and made a career out of it.
Then again, at a very early age, you started learning the guitar aged 8.
Yeah, I have always wanted to play guitar and I actually got my uncle and auntie gave me a guitar, just a starter one. Yeah, again, I just fell in love with it and couldn't put it down. I just wanted to get better and better. And all of a sudden I had about 12 or 13 guitars and different ones now. I've got some weird and wonderful collection guitars and I love it.
How about your very first band? How did that all come about?
My first band was a blues rock band called Scotch and Cider. Basically, at the time, I was studying music at QUT. I was doing my Bachelor of Music. And I was just lucky enough to meet, other incredible musicians and some really awesome people. And I started a band with them and, my 5 best friends at the time. And we were just off and running. We recorded our first EP. We did lots. But after about 2 years, I decided to just go and do my own thing and started doing solo shows.
Would you say you were a uni band?
Yeah, we definitely started off that way, but we very quickly moved into the professional world quite quickly and easily, which was, it was a lot of hard work, but they're all so talented and very professional people.
Well, you clearly have loved music all your life, because not only were you picking up instruments and forming bands, but you've done a lot of things, like even in marching bands, jazz bands, concert bands, and orchestra for a while. Clearly, music is such a passion for you.
Yeah, definitely. I did. I started out, like I said, whatever I could get my hands on, that was just what I was doing. I did start out in jazz bands, and that's honestly how I kind of moved into blues. Yeah, I was lucky enough. I learned percussion and I learned orchestral music. I actually studied marching bands as well, and everything from marching cymbals to, orchestral timpanis and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, it was just something I have done my entire life and I've always loved. There was never a day I wasn't playing music.
Clever cookie. That leads me to the next question of country music. How did you find that country music was your thing?
when I was in Scotch and Cider, my bass player, Ellen Hartwig, said to me, she was playing for a country artist, Bridget O'Shaughnessy, and they needed a drummer. And she said, I think you'd be perfect for it. I was actually a little bit hesitant because at the time I had grown up around country and heard it my whole life and was just not a huge fan. I ended up playing with Bridget and we went to Tamworth and I just fell in love with it so quickly. I just the people and the storytelling and everything to do with country music. I was just like, this is exactly like blues, but more twangy. And, it's just got endless potential. And instantly it was just like this shift. And it was like, this is actually what I want to do. Still to this day, I love how wide of a genre country is. It's not something that's can be put into a tiny box. It's just got endless potential and I love working in that.
There's so many genres within the genre, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
Recently, country music has really had a massive resurgence as well. How do you explain that, Chloe?
Yeah, I was actually I know a lot of country musicians in Brisbane, and we're lucky enough that, in this area, there are some really, really incredible, talented people. And I was talking to someone the other day and we were saying, we all kind of came into this at the exact perfect time. Before that, it was really, really hard to break into anything being in country music. It was kind of a side genre that no one really paid attention to. And then all of a sudden it just blew up. Yeah. And I think, honestly, it had a lot to do with the American industry. A lot of American artists, started to push their genres and it's kind of come over into Australia. But we're really lucky that people are now recognizing Australian country in a different light. I think they're paying a lot more attention, which is really good for artists like me. And obviously, like I said, there's so many talented artists, even just in Brisbane or Queensland. Yeah, it's been a good couple of years for us.
Let's hope the trajectory keeps going. And I think one of the key words that you mentioned, which I think is part of it, the success, is the storytelling. Country music always has a story. And I feel like that your few singles that leading up to this single, it's telling a little bit of a story about your journey, isn't it? From your first single to this one.
Yeah, definitely. It was a little bit unintentional, but when we sort of stepped back and had a look at the year, it told a story of all the things that I kind of went through in the last couple of years and it led to where I am now and the place I'm in now within myself. Even as far as when we released our first single, Carolina, at the start of this year, that was something that was just a kind of a story that I sort of told. Like it was personal, but it was also about so many different things and people. As the year went and as I got a bit more comfortable with writing and becoming vulnerable, my songwriting became more personal and more focused on myself, and people really have loved that.
And Skip September, the next one, that's really personal, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It was actually about the breakdown of my marriage. And it was something that when I wrote, I was in a really, really bad place. I obviously was going through it. I kind of sat down and I wrote the song. I was just sitting on my kitchen floor one night. I wrote the song and I took it to my band and I said, is it too personal? And they were like, no, this is, everyone in some way can relate to what it was about and going through those hard times and just wanting to get to the other side, get to the light at the end of the tunnel. We actually discussed the option about changing some of the lyrics to make it a bit more relevant to everyone, but we just decided to keep it, as personal as possible. And again, everyone just really liked it and loved the idea.
I hear that you've actually written over 400 songs. How do you pick which ones to play and put on an album?
Yeah, it's quite a hard process. I was given some advice I would say probably about 15 years ago about songwriting. And what I was told was songwriting is like any skill. It doesn't happen overnight. It's something that you have to practice and work at and you will become better and you'll have good days and bad days. So I try and write as often as I can. And sometimes that's, 3 or 4 songs a week. And a lot of the time they are not great. I can kind of tell when it's a throwaway song or if it's something that's just for myself, it's a bit like writing in a diary. It's something that helps me kind of process it. So a lot of the time, there'll be a standout song where I'll kind of finish a song or I'll have an idea for a song and go, oh, okay, that's that actually could be something. And that's usually the point where I'll take it to the band and be like, what do you guys think? But yeah, it's constant. Like I said, it's probably about 3 or 4 songs a week that I write top to bottom. And sometimes it can just be, I'll just write a chorus and then I'll stop and then I'll move on to something else. Or, I have so many. It's ridiculous.
That's fabulous. That's called honing your art, isn't it? But what you might find going down the track, it might be 5 years, it could be 8, it could be 10, it could be 20. When the time's right, you've got a treasure trove of material there. And someday, it's going to be the right time for some of those.
Yeah, definitely. We're actually finding that now. There's a song that we're going to release next year, and we've already recorded it and talked about it, that I actually wrote like 11 years ago. I wrote it and sat on it for all that time. And then one of my bandmates who'd heard it all that time ago, she said, we should do that song. We should pull. And I was like, oh, it's not really us. And she forced me to show it to everyone. And they went, this is it. And so, yeah, there's definitely times where songs are more relevant or come back. And I love it. There's stuff that I recorded on my original EP over 10 years ago that my band wants to re-record and change it a bit. So, it's like I said, it's just endless potential. It's such a great way to get everything out.
So let me just ask you quickly before we start talking about the new single. You've got 2 kids. Are they musical, Chloe? Have they followed your artistic lean?
Yeah, they definitely have. My daughter is very, very talented on the drums. I was a drum teacher for many years, and so it's one of those things. Again, it's a skill that you have to practice and get better at. But there are some kids that are naturally more talented at it, and she's phenomenal.
Awesome.
It just clicks with her. My son is not actually that great at the drums, but he's really picking up guitar quite well. So just different strengths and interests. But yeah, they're both really, really talented, actually.
We should watch out for their band in coming years.
Yeah. My daughter she's 8 years old and she's just started writing songs, and I find all these little pieces of paper around the house with all of her songs written. So she's kicking off real hard there.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So the new one, and I think this is sort of like the last step in the journey. I love this song. It seems a little bit, not musically, but the feeling, the vibe of it, a little bit Joe Cocker-esque with like, let's go get stoned.
Yeah. It was definitely one that I sort of sat on it for a long time being like, do we release this? Is this one that we just play on stage for fun? Yeah, it was one of those songs. I was actually listening to, there's a song by Chris Stapleton called Worry Be Gone, which is about the same sort of concepts. When I saw him play it live, the entire stage went from, like, all the lights and everything went from this like maroon kind of red color, and the whole thing went green. And I knew straight away, I was like, it's got to be Worry Be Gone. I said to my bandmate, it'd be really cool if we did something so different to what we've ever done, something that instead of being red and maroon, it's green, it's different. I had this weird idea to just basically have this song be like a confessional song, something that was just vulnerable and honest and was about my journey and who I am and where I am now, and just being like, you know what, these are my flaws, this is how it is. And
it feels to me like a happy ending, like you've gone all through all this stuff and now it's acceptance and it's all right. It's all good.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of what we were trying to achieve is, like, it's at the end of it all, it's, we're in the good times now.
Yeah. Well, I think you nailed it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Show dates. Got one complaint. So get onto the Googleometer. Where do they find the show dates?
So you can find everything on chloemarksmusic.com or on our social media, which is just Chloe Marks Music on everything.
If you're in Brisbane and the Gold Coast, you're lucky. You've got a few shows to choose from. Get onto the Googleometer and have a look. And if you're heading over to Tamworth, you're lucky as well. You've got 4 shows to choose from so far. So when are you coming to our town, Chloe?
We're actually, that's one thing I want to do next year is we want to do some more touring, and we want to get out of Brisbane and Gold Coast. And as much as we love this year that we've had in all of our venues, we're ready to, start moving around the country and getting out there. So I'm hoping next year we're gonna try and do a leg in every direction. That's the plan. So we'll see how we go.
Awesome. We look forward to seeing you down the front when you can get to Adelaide. That'll be amazing. I do have one question, which I found really interesting reading your bio. You manage one of Australia's largest skateboard stores. Left field?
Yeah. So I was managing it. I'm actually a full-time musician now, but I have spent most of my life as well in the extreme sports or action sports industry. Yeah, I managed a skate park in Sydney for about 4 years. And then during COVID, I moved back to Queensland. And I was managing, I believe it's Australia's second biggest skateboard store. I managed that for about 4 years as well. Yeah, I love it. It was definitely one of those things that I grew up with as well. If I wasn't playing music, I was at a skate park somewhere getting injured. I love it. I still, even in my house now, it's just filled with skateboards and scooters and BMXs. They're everywhere. Yeah, I do. I love it.
We wish you all the success with the new single. I love it. We also wish you the best with your tour. And we can't wait for you to bring it to the rest of Australia.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Chloe Marks and the Mayhem. The other members of the band, Chloe?
We have Ellen Hartwig on the bass, Matthew Beagley on guitar, Madison Rosetto on keys and vocals, and Jacob Peterson, or we know him as JP, on the drums. Fantastic, incredible people.
So some of the Scotch and cider players.
Yeah. Matt and Ellen were in the original band with me, which is really great. We've been working together for actually over a decade now.
I love the name Mayhem. Everyone needs to create a bit of mayhem, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, our name is actually a little bit funny because a couple of years ago many years ago, it was about 5 or 6 years ago when I had the idea for, a country Americana band, I told Ellen and I said, you have to do it with me. Ellen said, if you're going to do it, it needs to be called Chloe Marks and the Mayhem. And I went, oh yeah, that's perfect. Ellen to this day does not remember that conversation. Ellen doesn't remember naming the band, but Ellen
Well
did.
done, Ellen.
Yeah.
Let's hear the new one now.
Yeah, perfect. We are Chloe Marks and the Mayhem, and this is our brand new single, Cheaper Than Therapy.
Thank you so much, Chloe.
Thank you so much. That's all.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
You are listening to Still Rocking It, the podcast with Cheryl Lee.
When I get stoned, I talk to God. I know to some it sounds quite hard. Our conversations are good for me, and it's cheaper than therapy. So I get stoned and talk to God. He knows me well, just like a friend. He'll always be there till the end. I talk about how I messed my day, ask forgiveness for all my ways, like when I'm stoned and talk to God. Well, I ain't a saint and I'll admit it, I'm not the kind to up and quit it up and pop until I feel okay. Sometimes at the end of my day, I get stoned and talk to God. I could ask for help and get it, but I'd rather do it on my own. So I roll another and light it, let it out and let it just be known. Oh, you can believe what you want. To some I'm right, to some I'm mighty wrong. It's a glass of wine at the end of my day, or a map to help me find my way. So I get stoned and talk to God. Well, I ain't a saint and I'll admit it, I'm not the kind to up and quit it up and pop until I feel okay. to God.
You're with Cheryl Lee, that radio chick. Thank you so much for joining me on the Still Rocking It podcast. Hope to catch you again next time. Get out when you can, support Aussie music, and I'll see you down the front.